If you feel like you're hung up and can't finish residency or didn't finish residency, or you might even be worried about losing your license for some reason, who knows, maybe vaccine related, maybe mental health issues, like there's just so much big brother energy going on with the medical board. Wouldn't it be great if you did not ever have to deal with your medical license again? And those of you who are attached to your license who are doing surgery or whatever, it's totally fine. I want you to think about this is a moment of exploration where you can really try to understand your potential as a healer beyond the little cubicle that you've been placed in. Like literally going to medical school is an allopathic or osteopathic little cubicle that you've been placed in. And getting a specialty, you're in another little cubicle. And my contention is that your dream and your life is bigger than the cubicle that you've been placed in. Does this resonate with anyone? Do you ever feel like in the chat here, do you feel like you've ever been placed in a cubicle that's too small for your dream? If so, then you are in the right place. Okay, so let me tell you why I think this is relevant for everyone. And I don't care whether you're a massage therapist, nurse, physician, gynecologist, surgeon. This is relevant for you for a number of reasons. I want everyone to really consider adding a consulting or coaching arm to your ideal clinic or your business, whatever it is. That is the first step in maybe finding out that you love it so much that you might just in the future go 100% coaching or consulting. That's what I'm doing. I'm an example of somebody who has let go of their license to do 100% coaching consulting. And this is also a really great retirement gig. Okay, so at some point, you're probably going to want to pare down the number of patients you have and have a lighter schedule into your, 60s, 50s, 70s, whatever. I don't know how long you want to work. I think it's pretty boring to go from working full-time as a doc to being totally retired sitting on a golf course or something. Most doctors get pretty bored pretty quickly. And it actually does limit your lifespan. If you start getting bored, then what's the reason to keep breathing, There are a lot of doctors that actually die right into the early parts of their retirement. And I think it's because they're not challenged by doing the amazing work that they're capable of doing, and they would love to do something part-time, not flipping houses, not working at Burger King, not flipping burgers. So this is for you. This is for you if there's 3 things I want to share. If you are unmatched to residency, did not complete residency, or do not have an active medical license, number 1, what I'm going to present tonight is for you. Number 2, this is for you if you want to retire one day, yet you want to continue to work in a really cool retirement gig as your own boss. And number 3, this is for you if you want to add a consulting or coaching arm to your existing ideal clinic. And like I said, you may enjoy it so much that it becomes your full-time gig. So before I get started on this, I just want you guys to make sure you're on the Facebook chat if you're on Facebook. And also, I want you to get out your notebook. And in your notebook, if you can write 1 to 13, just each line, just write number 1, 2, 3, all the way to 13, because I'm going to have 13 yes or no questions. I'll let you know when they're happening, that we're going to see how many yeses and nos you have, and that will indicate how likely it is that you're going to do something like this, okay? So get out your notebook, number 1 to 13. Okay, so I'm going to just, while you're getting ready, present a few little bits of information here. So as you all know, I am walking the talk. I retired my medical license on October 1st, 21, and though they officially retired me at the end of the year on December 31st when I didn't pay my dues. And so I am 100% coaching right now. And I totally dislike the term coaching. I hate that term, but there's whatever. I'm using it tonight just because people recognize what that is. Okay, coaching is different than being a doctor, than being somebody's 24/7 on-call physician, right? Okay, there's a lot of other words that you can use. I really like, consulting, coaching. I'll just use those interchangeably, but I recommend that if you dive into this arena, that you do not just identify yourself as a consultant or coach, that you get much more niched out and specific, okay? But essentially, what you are doing when you are a consultant or a coach, you really need to separate it from your medical license for medical legal purposes. But essentially, I am an unlicensed healer right now. Okay? I am a healer, like I'm a healer gone rogue. I'm a rebel healer. I think I always was, but an unlicensed healer. And that's great. There's a lot of benefits to being unlicensed, one of which is they can never take your license away because you're unlicensed. Isn't that cool? The joke's on them. Right. So, and what this means when you're an unlicensed healer is that it means that I have officially outgrown the confines of my license, and I'm actually more effective in the world without one. Okay? I want to share something that I wrote in my journal when I was 35 years old. I might have been 36. This is just a quote that I put in there that I actually lifted from some sort of self-help book, but here it is. And I might put it in the chat here. This is very important. Ideological schools and advanced degrees. You guys know how I always recommend to stop hoarding degrees and certificates. Like we're way too attached to our diplomas, degrees, and certificates, and we end up having like a whole wall full of diplomas, degrees, and certificates, and then we're like still miserable. This is a quote. Ideological schools and advanced degrees, if they help at all, succeed because they assuage the counselor's anxiety. Okay, so this is from a counseling book about like counseling and psychology, all right? So your degrees literally are assuaging your anxiety, not the patient's. So the counselor can face the uncertainty of the therapeutic process. If you are a creative person, you are actually supposed to outgrow your specialty and your diploma, okay? So just recognize that. Don't feel bad about it. Don't feel like, oh, I'm a slacker, I'm a loser, I'm only working part-time. You know, if you're like literally the reason why I gave up my license, two things. I was bored out of my mind doing family medicine, and my interest was in emotional spiritual healing. So as an unlicensed healer, I can help people heal across the world without asking anyone permission. No third parties, no regulators. I'm literally sought out by clients internationally, mostly physicians and med students, to help them heal from the trauma of their training and practice and to launch their own practices so that they can be liberated too. Like, how great is that? Like, I liberated myself and now I can liberate others. And I know I've been doing that all along through like ideal clinics and through using your license. And I'm not down on having a license. If you love what you're doing, if you love GYN surgery and you got a license, like, keep going. But I just want you to know there's another possibility that you can use. What if, for example, I know we got a GYN surgeon on here who specializes in pelvic pain. So what if you launched an online course that was so successful at helping women heal their pelvic pain internationally? Like, people were buying your course from the UK and all around the world, wherever they speak English, assuming your course is in English, right? What if that turned into like 60% of your income? I know you want to be a single mom. Some of you like have kids, you want to spend time with your kids. What if 60% of your income could come from online services that you are delivering as a coach and consultant? Does that sound awesome? I'm just an idea. So I'm going to give you 10 reasons that you might want to practice without a license or turn part of your practice into a coaching consulting practice, okay? Licensed healers, like MDs, are over-regulated and cubicalized. I know I've said that a lot. MDs, DOs, massage therapists, psychologists, RNs, like anyone who has to submit to a board, the massage board, the nursing board, the medical board. If you have a board, hovering over you, first of all, you're going to feel overregulated, and second of all, you might end up feeling bored, like actually bored out of your mind doing the same thing in your cubicle over and over again. So like I say, if your dream is bigger than your cubicle, you may outgrow your diplomas and licenses because you're going to feel confined and even trapped. If you feel trapped in a cubicle, like, I want you to know that your life potential is so much more than what you're doing right now. There's many more dreams for you to live, and you've got to free yourself at some point, or you're going to get frustrated. I mean, the things that happen when you're trapped in a cubicle, when you feel trapped, you literally could end up dying prematurely, like getting bored out of your mind, just being unfulfilled, and this chronic level of lack of fulfillment will affect your personal life, your professional life, your joy as a person on this planet. It is far-reaching, so you really need to feel fulfilled. Now, unlicensed healers are unregulated and liberated, compared to licensed healers. And I'm just going to give you some examples of unlicensed healers who I know, right? Astrologers, most naturopaths, I don't know if you know this, but only about 20 states or so licensed naturopathic doctors. More than half the states do not license naturopaths. So people who have gone through naturopathic medical school, 4 years of school, they don't generally have residency, that are practicing in the other states are practicing without a license, no naturopathic medical board overseeing them. Just interesting to notice that. People who do Reiki, shamans, psychics, retreat leaders, if you start leading a retreat, if you lead a retreat for people with pelvic pain, that's awesome. You can be liberated and unlicensed to do that. Okay? Trauma recovery. You could just be someone interested in trauma and you're leading a trauma recovery writing retreat or workshop, unlicensed, liberated. Support groups. You could have a support group for people with endometriosis, a support group for people with fibromyalgia, or writing. You can be a writing therapist. I feel like I'm sort of a writing therapist. Herbologists, homeopaths, yogis, meditators, reflexologists, palm readers. I'm just throwing stuff out there, right? These are all people who are healers. People will say that they had life-changing experiences through all these modalities, and they met with somebody who literally was a free agent. Okay, so I have 13 yes or no questions for you. So, I think in your journal, you got 1 through 13 written down. So I will tell you, I'll post the question on the chat, but I'll also read it to you. The first thing I want to say, these are 10 reasons why I think everyone should consider a coaching and consulting practice based on my personal experience. So number 1, have limitless clients with no boundaries. So you can help people worldwide. So a question I'll post in the chat is, and for you guys at home, this is the first question. The first question is, would you like to be able to help clients worldwide? Yes or no? Just everyone needs to answer this, either yes or no. And I don't mean, this could sound overwhelming, like you don't want the whole world of COVID patients all calling you or the whole world of depressed suicidal doctors calling you, but you can you could clamp off your practice, right? You could say, look, after about 200 clients, I'm closed. You don't need more than 200 clients. Well, I'm helping doctors who contact me who want business strategy help and help for feeling suicidal and struggling in Australia, Canada, Germany. Medical students contact me from Poland. These are just the ones that come to mind. Residents in India are constantly contacting me. I have people reaching out from all around the world, okay? And you could too, for your practice, your pelvic pain practice, your PTSD practice, your whatever your retreat you want to run with. Who did I talk to? Somebody earlier about retreats for men with sexual problems and marital issues. This is amazing. You could run a retreat like that. That's unlicensed. You don't need anyone's permission. Okay. Number 2. You could be 100% virtual if you like, okay? So that means you could see clients from your beach house, your bathtub. Today, because I had a little bit of a headache, I literally did 3, I'm doing all of my groups today in my pajamas, in my bedroom, kind of in the dark. So, you literally could work wherever you want. I'm 100% virtual in my pajamas in my bedroom right now. And check it out, I only work on Sundays. I know that's kind of crazy. I'm working 1 day a week, literally in my pajamas in my bedroom. I don't know. I'm going to put this down as question number 2. Okay, question number 2, which you can write down if you're at home, is would you like to see clients 1 day per week from your beach house? Would that be a good schedule? Just 1 day a week? See, everyone said yes. That I'd rather see sick kids 1 or 2 days a week in the hospital. Yeah, you can do that too, Paul. This doesn't have to be everything you do, but hey, if you wanted to be a single mom, if you had twins or triplets, and you wanted to work 1 day a week in your pajamas from your bedroom, wouldn't it be cool, I don't know, to make $150,000 in 1 day a week? In your pajamas? That's just what I'm asking. You can ramp it up or ramp it down. You could work more than 1 day in your pajamas, but that's the question number 2. Number 3, really, really important, is that you, this is my true story. I have no medical board dues, CME, DEA fees. I'm not paying anything. I don't have anything that I am paying. Is that like the coolest thing ever? 2021 was my first Christmas because I'm Jewish, right? So I always spend Christmas doing my CME online. It was my first Christmas in a decade that I didn't spend doing online CME. And I don't have to pay like $881 to the DEA. And I don't have to pay the Oregon Medical Board like $700 or more for like a 2-year license. And I don't have to pay the Oregon Medical Association $263, thousands in fees. Here's my next question. Question number 3 is, would you love to stop paying dues and licensing fees? Just think about it. Okay, look, everyone wants to do that. Cool. All right. Number four is no medical liability insurance needed. I mean, it's optional if you like, but look, I've been coaching doctors and medical students and health professionals, I don't know, for like probably 16 years, and I've never had any insurance. It's pretty, like, you have to understand, you can get insurance if you want, but like, I think you more need insurance if you're an anesthesiologist at a hospital like Ed, or you could be in some high-risk situations in the hospital, but when you have your ideal medical clinic or an ideal medical practice, you're virtually liability-free. Now, I do have malpractice insurance, which costs less than $2,000 a year for my part-time practice, but I have to say, like, I've never had in my whole career, hey, I retired with a totally clean record. Is that awesome? Never been sued, no complaints. Lowest risk of your career is having an ideal medical clinic because it's relational. It's a relational clinic. It's not like production driven. So in a coaching practice, if you have really clear boundaries, you are at even lower risk than you would ever be in your medical clinic doing little surgery and doling out meds and seeing people in your ideal clinic. It's like literally the lowest risk thing you could do ever if you structure it properly. Like I said, like 10 plus years of coaching. I've never had liability insurance, no coaching contract. I've never even had contracts. I've never had anyone fill out a contract. So number four is, would you like to never pay medical liability premiums again? What do you guys think? Would you like to never pay any malpractice premiums again? On the chat, let's see. What do you guys think about that one? Nancy's eyes got all bright. She's got a big emoji smiley face. So far, everyone's into it. Okay. So that's number 4. You guys at home. Number 5, these are again my reasons. I'll let you know when I ask the question. So the 5th the reason why I love what I do is because I can become hyper specialized and totally define my niche. Like when I was working at a clinic in Eugene or even in Olympia, Washington, I'm thinking of all the places I worked where I was an employee. It was like take all comers. I had people coming in with anger management problems, people with issues that I didn't want to deal with, people needing surgeries that I didn't want to perform. I don't know, like these people, I had state workers that couldn't be more like so unmotivated. Like right now, I only treat super ideal patients. Like if you're in the dream team, like I let you in here because I love you. There are people that, like, I don't know, 2 people last month that I kicked off the dream team, not the business strategy one, but another one, because they were like getting on my nerves. Like I don't have to keep people in here. If they're doctors that get on my nerves, I just kick them out. I don't need to like help everyone. I'm just helping the people who want help, who want my help. You know what I mean? And so you can stay as long as you want, and if you get on my nerves and don't start yelling at me and start demanding things, like I didn't get into coaching to deal with demanding clients, right? So, I mean, I'm more than available for coaching retreats and all sorts of things, private sessions, but hey, there's a lot of mental health issues among doctors, and sometimes they come out on other doctors, including their mentors. So I only help health professionals who are appreciative, who truly want to heal and live their dreams and become self-actualized as healers. I turn away doctors who just want to rant and don't want to improve their lives. I turn away doctors who lack appreciation and respect for me. I turn away doctors who want charity care. There's actually doctors who have told me that they won't pay $25 for a 2-hour physician trauma recovery session, and I'm like, wow. Then you probably don't want to heal from trauma. If you don't think it's worth $25, because it's like $97 a month for some of these things, like you don't want to heal, fine. If you don't think it's worth it, I want to help people who actually want help. I am not here to perpetuate physician victims. Physician victims are the worst. Physicians who call themselves healers, but they want to remain victims, that's really it's not a good state to be in. I think if you're a healer, it would be really good to want to heal yourself. Number 5, fifth question, would you love to have only super ideal non-victim clients? Does that sound good? Oh my God, all caps yes from Greg. 2 exclamation points from Sarah. Yes. Claire, absolutely. Yay. Yes, it looks like everyone is into the idea. So many of us are empaths. Imagine as an empath spending your day with victims. Does that sound like a good idea? It is not fun. I think like half of us are just exhausted, not even because we're in bad working environments, but we're empaths spending our entire day with victims who don't want to stop being victims. It's a terrible setup. Okay, number 6. This is the 6th reason that I am so happy I don't have a medical license. Is like, and this really works for everyone else. I mean, for me, I really did love my residency. I didn't have a problem with my residency. But the 6th reason to do this is that you do not need a residency, and you don't even need to go to med school. You don't even need to go to med school or residency. If you're an unlicensed healer, you can get going right away, right out the door. So, but I want to give some examples of real Dream Team members who have either quit med school or residency because they realize they don't even need it. Tracy, I don't know if you guys remember Tracy. She was a second-year medical student. She quit med school. She now leads herbology retreats. She bought like 100 acres in Missouri and has like all these cabins being built, and she runs herbology retreats. Isn't that cool? She's an herbalist. She's an unlicensed herbalist. You don't need a license. You do not need a license to take people on an herb walk or a mushroom walk. If you had a license, it would probably confuse the medical board. They wouldn't understand because that's not one of the things that they know how to monitor. You don't need to go to med school and get a DO or MD to lead a fasting retreat. You can lead that, and you could like literally, he was telling me on the phone, like he has helped more people than doctors. You know, like people with rheumatoid arthritis, like it reverses with fasting. You know, not with like they don't maybe need methotrexate and all this other stuff. Like it's just amazing. Claire is on the chat right now. Like she has a heart health support group. Like what Claire's doing in her support group, which hasn't officially launched yet, I don't think, but she's getting it going soon. Is she doesn't require residency for that. You don't require, if you're going to lead a support group, you just get going. Just do it. This is my 4th support group today. Pajamas in a dark room in bed, without the medical board. It's so awesome. Ed's tip jar classes do not require a residency. Okay, DJ, he's like this van life doctor in the group. Okay, Healthy Nomad Handbook. He wrote a handbook on how to live on the road healthy, van lifer. You don't need a residency for that. I'm just giving you some examples. These are real-life examples of people in this group. So what I want to say, unless you really love prescribing drugs or doing surgery, you do not need a complete residency. I mean, that's just a fact. Remember I did a poll recently on Dream Team, and I asked people, like, out of these 3 things, which do you love the most? And it was like, number 1, prescribing drugs. Number 2, performing procedures. Number 3, educating and teaching. And like 95% of the people checked educating and teaching, and 1 person checked performing procedures. And nobody checked prescribing drugs, but we're doctors of medicine. I mean, that's ding, 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 ding. That's a hint. That's a hint. Okay, so number 6, the 6th question. I know a lot of us have already done residency, but I just want you to answer this question honestly. Would you love to have a successful practice without residency? Do you just love the idea that you could have like a successful – there are marketers out there making $17,000 a day selling neuropathy supplements. They barely got a GED, barely graduated from college, and they are bypassing us to our patients, and they're not improving the lives of the patients. They're not even health professionals. Why are we sitting at home waiting to work minimum wage at a residency that could care less whether you jump off the roof because there's a million J1, H1 visas to replace you? Let's just be honest here. They don't care if you live or die. They don't care if the patients live or die. They really don't. I mean, I know their billboards say compassionate care and they love you, but like, look at their actions. Does it really seem like they love you? They don't even love their staff. All right. 7. This is a really good one. This is the 7th reason. These are just my top 10 reasons why I'm having a good time now, 3 months into having my full-time coaching practice that's 1 day a week. No more hoop jumping intermediaries. So how about if you never had to deal with insurance companies, you didn't have prior authorizations, never again, never had to calculate copays, never got another denial from an insurance company. How would that sound? So number 7, would you love to stop hoop jumping? I just call it hoop jumping. Would you love to stop hoop jumping? Yes or no? On the chat, what do you think? I mean, people are universally really into this. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. Yes, yeah, marvelous. Okay. Probably you guys at home are excited about the idea that you would maybe never have to jump through another hoop. Just think of how many hoops you've already jumped through. I think we've all already jumped through. I mean, if you're counting like AP classes in high school and MCAT, and oh my gosh, have we already jumped through like at least 50 hoops? I think we jumped through like 100 hoops to get to where we are. Like, why would you keep hoop jumping? I mean, that's one of the reasons I gave up my license. Number 8, this is the 8th reason why I am so excited and I recommend that everyone else launch a coaching or consulting practice, is that it is all cash or credit card prepaid. Does that sound really good? I'm just not talking about cash pay at the time of visit. I'm talking prepaid. Prepaid. So that's number 8. Number 8 question. Would you love all prepaid cash clients? All prepaid? Great. All caps? Yes. Okay. So that's kind of how it happens. When you have a coaching or consulting practice, it's all prepaid. Okay, like 9 and 10 are really good. I'm almost at the end here. Okay, number 9. No EMR. No EMR. You can set up whatever system you like if you really want to track things, but like, oh my gosh, do you guys know for the past 4 months, I haven't charted at all. I haven't charted anything. Can you believe that? If you have a coaching practice, I'm just telling you, I did 4 support groups today. Listen to this. I'm going to write this. This is a question. The question is, would you love to ditch your EMR? Like, I mean, not just get another EMR that's better, but like totally ditch the EMR and heal people without charting. Heavenly, Sarah said. And I know if Jennifer were here, she would be jumping up and down, peeing in her pants on this one. She's still having trouble with charting in her own practice. But I'm just telling you, you do not have to chart. Look, I did 3 support groups today. I mean, we had stuff going on in the chat, but a live chat is different than charting. That's the only kind of charting I want to do is a live chat. And number 10, which is the most important one, number 10, and I have 3 questions associated with number 10, but first I have a little bit of a diatribe here. Number 10 is you never have to worry about losing your license. Is that awesome? Think of how you've organized your life so that you won't lose your license. You probably don't sit and get drunk at bars because somebody could tell on the medical board that you're drinking alcohol. You probably don't take medical marijuana even though it could help you sleep because you could lose your license, right? Okay, I have a few things to share about this. As you know, the medical boards harass and abuse doctors and probably nurses with occupationally induced anxiety, depression, and suicidality. So doctors do not seek help due to fears of license repercussions. Like they're scared to go to a psychiatrist or a counselor because it might go on their record and they might lose their license. They're scared of getting probation, suspension, revocation, right? Nurses have the same issue with nursing boards. So I want you to read, if you've not read it yet, my only peer-reviewed journal article, and I'm going to share a few quotes right now. This is the only peer-reviewed journal article I'll probably ever write because it's too much hoop jumping. I'm not into hoop jumping. It's called Physician-Friendly States for Mental Health Care. If you've not read that yet, I highly recommend that you Google it. And I'm going to read you 3 excerpts from there. This first quote is for somebody who was on Dream Team a while back, a doctor in California. She wrote, this is a quote, after reading an article about one woman's journey through hell after being honest on those application questions, you know, the ones that ask, have you ever had one of those questions on your licensing application? If you've ever sought mental health care and they want to know all about your mental health care. There's some people I know on here that have sought mental health care and then you feel discriminated by your residency or the medical board or the hospital credentialing committee. This is what this woman did. She sought care an hour away. She drove an hour away. And then check this out, and then because she was so freaked out, she drove an hour in another direction to nervously fill her prescription for antidepressants. She went to like 3 different towns, one for mental health care, one to sneak around and get her antidepressants. And she said she required several meds to stop thinking about suicide all day, every day. And her suicidal thoughts were 100% work-related. What a nightmare. What a nightmare. If she did not have, this is ridiculous. Okay, here's another one. This is a really good quote. I'm putting these quotes in the chat because I think they're golden. General population does not understand this. Physicians are treated as criminals and tracked more closely than level 3 sex offenders. Answering all these questions on applications, the subtle, unspoken lesson is you had better be squeaky clean mentally, morally, and physically. If you step off the shining path, bad things will occur. This is from a male surgeon that wrote me this. I have known 7 male physicians who have died by suicide, most with a happy exterior. Why? They cannot confide in colleagues for fear that their colleagues will turn them into hospitals and medical boards, and there goes their privileges and livelihood. They cannot confide in their spouses because during rough patches mentally, their marriages are already in trouble. If they share psychological problems, they probably fear that the wife may use this as ammunition in any future divorce. So they keep smiling right up to the hour they die. Is this appalling? For those of you who know physician health programs, so if you admit to medical boards or to hospital credentialing committees, or if you have like an issue with a residency program, they might send you to a physician's health program, which on the surface sounds like, oh wow, that must be a place where physicians get health, but they don't, because PHPs, you guys should look it up if you're unfamiliar with PHPs. They remain. This is a quote from a guy who got involved with the PHP, a doc. PHPs remain largely non-compliant with ADA laws and regulatory guidelines in assessing medical and psychiatric fitness for physicians. They receive revenue from contracts with physician employers and residency programs, plus referred medical students and physicians who pay costly out-of-pocket fees or risk career destruction. Physician employers liberally refer to PHPs. This is very important, this sentence. Physician employers, if you're like a troublemaker somehow, or you're not like going along with the mainstream narrative, whatever that is these days, right? Then your tyrannical employer can refer you to a PHP for virtually any reason. Any reason. PHPs actually encourage third-party referrals from, check this out, you could have an aggrieved spouse refer you, a jilted lover, a market competitor. They've all successfully required PHP evaluations of physicians. And then you're in a 5-year consent order. It's a nightmare. I'm just putting this in the chat. These are all things that can happen to you, okay? Really, I think, people don't realize what's going on until they're in the middle of it. Then they're caught in like a spider's web, and then they're suicidal by the time they contact me. So this is the 10th reason why I'm so happy. I'm going to be like totally honest here, right? This is my personal experience. And I know what's going on with other doctors. I know the dark underbelly of our profession because running a suicide helpline for 10 years. To tell you my personal experience. Number 1, I have actually been turned into the medical board for running a free physician suicide helpline and breaking the heavy taboo around physician suicide and human rights violations leading to suicides at residencies. Who have I been turned in by? I've been turned in. A very small gang of female psychiatrists have turned me in to the medical board because they see me as a hazard to the profession, and they want me to stay in my lane. My lane doing acne and ingrown toenails. Well, guess what? I gave up my license. I never had to, whatever. They reported me, but I never, whatever. The board never came down on me. My real-life examples, okay? I've been turned into the medical board for running my pandemic support group. Okay, I have doctors contact me who are suicidal for all different reasons. Some are some are in the middle of a divorce. Some are, hate their jobs. Some are in toxic residencies. Some need emotional support for long-haul COVID. Some actually have vaccine-induced cardiomyopathy from the friggin' vaccine. Yes, they do. Some have they were normal before. Some have long-haul COVID. Some are physicians have lost their loved ones to vaccine injury. Doctors in wheelchairs with neuropathy who have had to close down their practices or become disabled after Pfizer. I'm just telling you, okay, I'm not here to agree or disagree. If you were normal before and now you're in a wheelchair and you're crying and you're suicidal, I'm going to help you. But because I'm helping suicidal doctors with an array of pandemic distress, including vaccine injury, several doctors have turned me into the medical board because, you know what, I'm not following mainstream narrative. It's not under my control. I'm just taking all comers to my suicide helpline. I'm not searching for certain people, but can you believe? Just check it out. For me, having compassion for doctors who've fallen ill outside of the acceptable narrative, I've been turned into a medical board. Really important thing to note. None of these physicians who complained about me on the physician suicide thing or pandemic stuff, none of them ever spoke to me by phone. They just like to rant and rave on social media. But guess what? I retired with a clean license, so screw you guys. I'm out of here. I mean, not because they forced me out or anything. I was already tired with being a family doc, and I had there were bigger horizons for me, right? So I just want to say I'm happy that I retired. Perfect record, no malpractice suits, despite ego-bruised, vicious peers who seem to take pleasure in throwing their own colleagues under the bus. And you know what? I can handle it. I have thick skin. But what I'm concerned about are all the suicidal doctors who've been on the phone with me, who've had their careers undermined by jealous, vicious physician peers, for standing up for their patients, for standing up for their own safety, for standing up for the rights, for their rights. They've been tossed under the bus. And so I guess these are 3 questions related to the 10th reason. I love it that I never have to worry about losing my license because I don't want it. What do you guys think? Would you like to go to sleep at night with no loss of license worries? Just be able to put your head down on the pillow and not think about who's turning you in and which patient is complaining and who's going to get you for this, that, or the other thing. Isn't that great? You could. That's number 10. That's my 10th question. Would you like to go to sleep at night with no loss of license worries? Okay. And I have an 11th question. This is so important. Would you like to get mental health care without fear of losing your license? Number 11. Would you like to get mental health care without having to drive an hour in one direction, sneak away in another direction, pay cash, use a fake name, do all this stuff? Would you like to get mental health care without fear of losing your license? I think all doctors need mental health care, and they're not getting it because they're scared that they're going to lose their license. Okay. And number 12 is the last question. I just have 3 questions in a row. This is kind of a multiple question, but number 12 is, would you like to have freedom of speech, freedom to practice your healing art in alignment with your highest values without emotional blackmail, threats, and manipulation, or PHPs making money off your pain? Does that sound good? Greg says yes. Erica's typing. Erica said yes, yes, and yes. Doesn't that sound great? Erica, what do you think? Would you love to be able to treat people who are not, as a psychiatrist, I'm sort of curious, the psychiatrists on the chat, do you ever feel like the medical board's going to come to you and want the records for any health professionals that you're caring for? Wouldn't it be great not to feel like these medical boards could come and subpoena your records? Because I don't have any records. I'm not charting. I don't have an EMR. I can't subpoena my records and put it anywhere. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. This is we're in an over-regulated industry that is a nightmare, okay? Yeah, oh, look at Sarah said we're taught to document for court. That's true. We're taught to document as an adversary to our patients. Isn't that terrible? Our chart notes are adversarial. How is that healing? How is it healing if you're already in a chart note fight with your patient? Defensive medicine. It's just totally ridiculous. I think we just have to admit that we're in a flawed profession. And so count up your yeses. So from the 12 questions, okay, I asked 12 questions so far. How many yeses have you had? How many yeses out of those 12 questions? Greg had 12. Eileen had 12. Everyone had pretty much 12. This should be an indication for you that hey, I might want to listen to this call again on the recording and take this seriously because maybe I need to think about opening a coaching or consulting practice, and I'm happy to help you, and we're going to do a little Zoom call next week and get into more details on how you do this. Serious about your yeses, I want you to do this, and I want to help you do this. So you can launch your coaching practice alongside your medical practice. You don't have to stop one to do the other, all right? But you might ultimately, like me, have so much fun with your coaching practice that you close your medical practice and do coaching full time. So here is my 13th question, which I think is the really important one and the one on commitment here. Will you launch a coaching practice in 2022? This is very important. It could be something as simple as selling an ebook, an online course. If you want to launch a coaching practice, either full or part-time, as an adjunct to your current practice, please join us the next few Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, where I'm going to be demonstrating with those if you're interested in doing this and you really want to do it, please email me so I can help you, and maybe we could feature you on the Zoom and we could all help you together. Or if you want to have a private session with me, I could help you do that. I really want to help you get going. It's not that hard. I want to just give a real life example here. In January, I've actually consulted or worked with 7 unlicensed healers that I personally hired. I'm including myself. Okay, so including me, I just want to say I hired, just so you know, 4 unlicensed health professionals that I hired. 3 are psychiatrists on the Dream Team. They're unlicensed. They're unlicensed in Oregon, but I hired them to help me understand the psychology of some of my family members in my memoir. And they really helped me. It was fantastic. Thank you, guys. I also hired an astrologer who did 4 sessions with me, a total of $600. She did my session on my chart this year, and also did the natal chart on my parents and my uncle. I lead, 4 Sunday physician support groups. 3 are related to trauma recovery, writing, pandemic support, and this one is business strategy. That's great. I'm doing it all without a license. I just want you to have real life examples. I met with a hugely popular unlicensed naturopath. Naturopaths are not licensed in Arkansas. I met with this really popular unlicensed naturopath. He practices out of a vitamin section of a health food store, so he doesn't pay for any kind of office space. He's on a 1099 with the health food store, and he basically stands there and tells people what all the vitamins do. And he doesn't really need to make that much money. He's sort of retired and just fishing, trout fishing, and sitting on the lakes. And then he works a few days a week just hanging out in this vitamin section. And he knows a lot about the vitamins. He's a naturopath, but he doesn't have. He used to work. This is so funny. I talked to him for an hour. And he's very popular. Everyone goes to the health food store to talk to this guy. Around COVID, he can tell you the best vitamin D, the best NAS, the best N-acetylcysteine, the best quercetin, zinc, all the stuff that people want to know about. Oh, Bridget said, I know it's the end of the call, but does anyone have guilt about not doing primary care anymore? Well, think about how many people you can help, Bridget or whomever, if you're putting up, just an example, the pelvic pain course to help people with pelvic pain all over the world. You could help thousands upon thousands of people that you would never be able to see one by one. You can still do primary care. I'm not anti-primary care. I'm just wanting people to open their minds to all their options, right? And so just check this out. This naturopath, he used to work out of a vitamin section in a Houston area health food store, and he was collecting saliva and urine samples from a little desk inside the health food store. That cracks me up. I'm just sharing this because he's unlicensed. Can't do anything about him. Just planting an idea there. I'm not saying collect. I really think it's a little bit risky unless you have a good coaching contract to collect the specimens, but I'm just sharing real life examples from people I met. But check this one out. This is the best. I met with a wildly successful herbologist and Reiki energy healer, totally unlicensed, underneath some physicians at a hospital, and treating doctors and their patients, like the incurable patients that nobody can deal with, and even the hospital's CEO. What do you think about that? That's pretty cool, right? No license. Really successful. Very popular. People have driven all the way from Dallas to see this person, okay? It's amazing. If you're good at what you do not need a license, and people will drive from 10 hours away to see you. What do you guys think about that? Do you like that idea? Okay, so how to safely create a successful coaching practice. Here are 3 tips. 3 tips as we close the call today. This is how to safely create a successful coaching practice. I'm going to have more information on this later, but number 1, you need to have a narrow niche. Don't just be a generic coaching practice because that's just stupid, right? Narrow niche. I'm going to give examples of a narrow niche. Look, how about a suicide loss survivors group? We had an honorary member I put in, just a guest today in our trauma recovery group because I wanted to teach her how she could lead. She's a psychologist. I wanted to help her lead a suicide loss survivors group. There's a lot of family members who have lost loved ones to suicide. They would really benefit from this type of a group, and she's perfect to lead it, and she doesn't need a license to do it. Mary has had a lot of luck helping veterans with PTSD. She's a family doc, does not need a license for doing group visits and things that she does to help people with PTSD. DJ, his nomadic handbook for van lifers, no need for a license. These are just examples of a narrow niche. Number 2, so that's number 1, have a narrow niche. This is just between now and next week when we do our Zoom call and get into more of the details. I want you to be thinking about what could your narrow niche be, right? Could it be losing weight postpartum, helping people postpartum? I mean, there's so many things that people can do, right? Number 2 is be great at what you do. If you're great at what you do, like, people are going to line up. You know what I mean? It's something that you have developed skill and expertise in, which is usually something that you've overcome, a personal survival. Like if you've overcome incest, if you've overcome rape, if you've overcome starvation and living as a prisoner of war, if you've overcome a near-death experience in the ICU, you're perfect to lead a support group for that. So whatever you've overcome in your life, you should start attracting people that you can help. Look, I just wrote a memoir. I'm really good at helping physicians write their memoirs. On articles, or look, you might be good at van life living, trauma recovery, whatever it is. Like, you literally shouldn't be searching around under rocks. Like, you already have the skills in you. And just be great at being the real, authentic you. Be great at what you do. Number 3 is you need to have a clear method. And your method cannot be one-on-one patient encounters. And by the way, when you're coaching and consulting, you have to use the word client and not patient, because patient makes them think they're your patient, and then you get in trouble. There's different words that you want to use, right? So your clear method should not be like physical exams. It can't overlap with what doctors do, okay? So your method should be something like a writing group, a wine art class workshop with Paula in her new house in Michigan. Oh, maybe with Faith, she's doing something to help people who care for the elderly and polypharmacy support, right? But you don't really want to get too much into drugs. But like all the things that she knows, the 10 tips for helping your elder parents age gracefully. You know, like Faith could lead a workshop on that and do really well. She loves helping people 80 and older. Okay, a writing group, a retreat, meditation. You do not need a license for meditation. Get a group of people together. You know, meditation for endometriosis. If you can treat that with meditation, that's awesome. How about a mushroom walk for PTSD? How about a writing group for trauma recovery physicians? I mean, all you need to do is you get a clear method that has nothing to do with hands-on patient care and a physical exam, and you combine that plus a target niche that you already have some experience in because you've survived suicide or you've survived PTSD or endometriosis, and you blend them together, and suddenly you're off and running unlicensed. So, and I want to say what you are not doing. You are not doing one-on-one doctoring. That's why the groups are so good. People really crave groups now. Look, on the chat, it's really happening. People love the group. Do you guys love reading what everyone else is writing on the chat and commenting on all this? Like, chat, like, it wouldn't be as fun without the group, right? It's so much better with a group. And what you're trying to do is create your own group for the thing that you're already good at, right? Infertility, psychiatry. Erica, she could start a group. It could be international. And all you do, Erica, is you just listen to people talk about their infertility experiences, and you get them together and they're healed. All you have to do is sit there. You don't even have to do anything. You're not giving advice. You're just creating a safe container for people to share their infertility experiences, you know? And it could be international. You could get people from the UK, all over the place, right? So the way you protect yourself is you don't do one-on-one doctoring. You do not do a physical exam. I mean, virtual always protects you from that anyway. You're not diagnosing or prescribing drugs or surgery, okay? You can always have people ascend from your coaching consulting group into your actual medical practice if they need surgery, but then you have a different relationship with them. So see, you can have both. That's what I'm saying. You have a coaching consulting arm of your practice. So just remember this. You're not in your coaching consulting, no physical exam, if you get out of the one-on-one encounter, you're already protecting yourself. If you're not diagnosing, you're not treating, you're not giving meds or surgery, you're also not writing soap notes. No soap notes. Okay? And you can't call yourself a doctor. Of course, you came up with this Happy Doctor song, right? You're going to tell people a little bit about it, and then you can sing it, and we'll unmute and say goodnight to everyone.
Yeah, it's an old cowboy tune, and, the song just found me, so I'll be happy to sing it for you, and feel free. You can sing this in the shower or in the hall or when you're hiking, cleaning your house. It's not copyrighted. I didn't write the tune. I just wrote the words. So I'll sing it. Okay. Happy doctors who enjoy the lives we lead. Happy doctors who have turned our backs on greed. There's more to life than being pushed and shoved around. We're here to serve our patients and we stand our ground. Happy doctors who love the lives we lead. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. I unmuted everyone. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Love you guys. Sleep well.
Yo.
Love you, Pamela.